In the shadowy embrace of a moonlit night, a secluded mountain conceals an ancient chamber, shrouded in the mysteries and fog of time. Deep within the mountain lies an arsenal of weapons forged by gods and demons alike, each one harboring a terrifying power capable of altering the fate of the world. Only Valerian, the merciless sorcerer known as the Deathbringer, possesses the strength to tread upon this sacred ground. He stands at a crossroads, faced with a choice that could decide not only his own destiny, but that of humanity itself. With nothing but his own might, he could effortlessly obliterate the armies of nations. Yet, despite such overwhelming power, he finds himself shackled by unforeseen limitations, unable even to resurrect a mere fly. It is this unmatched strength that has ignited a deep-seated envy among the members of the Nine Stars. This envy has sown the seeds of a sinister conspiracy, as all 9 sorcerers band together, vowing to unite against Valerian. And just when his life hung by a thread, he performed the miracle of soul transfer. 10 years later, Valerian's soul successfully reincarnated within another's body, swearing vengeance upon the 9 Stars, determined that they would pay with their lives. Yet as he realizes a decade has slipped by, he finds himself unable to summon even a flicker of magic from this new form. Years have passed, and the other members of the 9 Stars have merely clawed their way to the 800th floor. Valerian cannot help but mock them internally. Those fools of the 9 Stars, it took them a decade to ascend just 200 floors. For him, this is a golden opportunity. He stands poised to surpass them all. Though this body may be a novice, his soul is that of a master of death. With a determined expression, Valerian donned his attire and stepped toward the God Tower, a place unknown to him. After many years, he once again set foot within the tower's confines. First, he must navigate a path riddled with traps and dangers. However, should he succeed, or even return to the starting point, his wounds will heal automatically. He took a moment to assess his current attributes. All abilities had been reset, yet one special skill remained: absorption. As he entered the perilous path, a volley of arrows shot toward him. Utilizing his agile form, he deftly dodged them. Yet, the whistling sound of multiple swords cutting through the air signaled the approach of a horde of warriors. No matter how swift his movements, he could not evade them all. With a series of thuds, Valerian was struck, but remained on his feet. Instead of faltering, he pressed forward. If he could not endure, he would retreat to recover. He simply wished to test the limits of this new body's resilience. The reason he had ascended to become the mightiest man atop the tower was his unique skill: absorption. This skill allows him to absorb anything devoid of life, including the blood that now pooled beneath him. It has become the source of his renewed power. All of his attributes surged in response. Thus, after healing, he charged back into the fray without hesitation. He must continuously absorb blood to enhance his attributes. A month later, he could no longer strengthen himself by torturing corpses. Thus, he reached the exit of the path. During this time, his physical strength and other attributes had surged significantly, but his method of progression had drawn the attention of the demons and gods lurking within the Valerian Tower. Why are those who enjoy eavesdropping here again? He held a deep disdain for these arrogant gods and demons. Just then, a multitude of notifications appeared. It wasn't long before he recognized a familiar alert. It turned out that Bar, the stalker from his past life, had been shadowing him all along. Was he trying to recruit him as a lackey? Had his identity been exposed? The soul transfer magic had also been bestowed upon him by Bar. At this moment, the gods and demons began bombarding him with notifications. All of this was due to you, Bar. Now they have taken notice of me. You fools, don't even dream about it. I will never become anyone's subordinate. Now, let's see what I've harvested over the past month. Not only have all my skills been restored, but I've also managed to accumulate some magical energy, and my magic level has seen a slight increase. Furthermore, he had unlocked an entirely new talent, multi-talented. This talent allowed him to swiftly learn any skill. The multi-talented ability was truly formidable. With it, he could achieve feats that he had never attained in his previous life, becoming a master of all trades. Next, he stepped into the training room. In his past life, he was a sorcerer capable of controlling millions of souls, but now he merely glanced at the death staff that suited him perfectly. quickly chose a dark staff radiating with an ominous black light. He did so to test just how powerful this multi-talented ability could be. Instantly, the system generated a target. Without hesitation, he drew his bow and nocked an arrow. He aimed at the target, and with a whoosh, the arrows flew like the wind, striking directly into the target. A devastating scene unfolded as the impacts echoed with two thuds. The swordsman was hit squarely, without any difficulty, prompting the system to create more targets for him to attack. The system announced that the attacking targets could inflict damage upon him. Valerian merely smiled, unfazed. "Just do as I command, and all will be well." As soon as he finished speaking, a swarm of robots appeared before him, all rushing straight toward him. At this sight, he simply raised his hand, unleashing his power, and 3 robots fell to the ground in an instant. However, the remaining robots seized the opportunity while he was occupied, charging at him as if they were about to be captured. In the blink of an eye, a sword cleaved a robot in half. This was hardly a challenge. "System, could you provide me with a stronger opponent?" Just as the words left his lips, several giant humanoid robots appeared beside him, yet they did not attack. Valerian simply took a leap, effortlessly dispatching one. He then soared into the air, switching to dual daggers, and in a heartbeat, the daggers pierced through the remaining giants. Soon after, distant monsters began to emerge, and the system was announcing updates. These kinds of targets are the most dangerous foes in the 2-story tower. At this moment, Valerian merely smiled. "So, he is indeed the deadliest presence on this floor. It seems I must let my old companion take care of him." With that said, Valerian gripped the staff of the Deathbringer tightly. Immediately after, a surge of powerful energy erupted from the staff. Distant targets exploded into fragments. Such is the might of versatility. Holding the weapon felt second nature to him, as if he had wielded it for years. System notification. "Congratulations. You have unlocked the achievement Master of Versatility. Contribution points awarded 5,000. It was only then that he realized the achievement Master of Versatility was actually a profession. The system prompted him to select Master of Versatility as his job. Once he left the training chamber, he could not change his choice. At this moment, Valerian felt a pang of uncertainty. The prospect of becoming a Master of Versatility was indeed enticing, but he could not forsake his greatest advantage, being a death mage. "System, I wish to choose Master of Versatility as my secondary profession." The system coldly replied, "Cannot be done. A secondary profession can only be unlocked after surpassing 100 floors." Valerian responded nonchalantly, "I will use contribution points to unlock a secondary profession." The system was taken aback by his question. "How does a novice like you know of this option, Prang? Just let me know if you want to answer with a yes or no." "Yes, but your current contribution points are still insufficient." Valerian sighed in resignation. It seemed there was no choice but to use that trick. He pointed towards the despicable enemy behind him. "This pest not only keeps chattering at me, but also brazenly reveals his identity. He should have received some achievement for his first interaction with a deity." Sure enough, as soon as he spoke, the system announced Achievement Unlocked Converse with a Despicable One. Contribution points increased by only 200. Seeing that he had assisted me, the loathsome Bar shamelessly whined. To this, I could only plead with Bar not to make me feel disgusted. "System, can we now convert Master of Versatility into my secondary profession?" With a chime, the system confirmed, "Congratulations. You have successfully converted Master of Versatility into your secondary profession. Now destroy the training chamber and proceed to the first floor of the Divine Tower." As the energy from the staff of the Deathbringer exploded, a thunderous roar echoed, causing the ground to crack. "Monsters of the 9 stars, brace yourselves for my wrath." Valerian immediately entered the first floor of the Divine Tower, the Clue Forest. All around him, swarms of goblins thrived. Upon entering the forest, he spotted several newcomers surrounded by a horde of goblins. Just then, a knife-wielding goblin lunged unexpectedly from above, creating a massive explosion that tore open a rift in space. Valerian emerged from the rift, swiftly leaping onto the long-tailed goblin. "Ah, these pests! It has been a while since I last encountered them." The other 2 goblins roared in fury, but Valerian merely smiled in response. "Let's ascend together, you 2 bugs. I want to see how much power I will gain after devouring you." The newcomers attack like a storm. This new person is incredibly strong. From the looks of it, he seems to be just a magician, but a single kick has taken down that long-tailed goblin. A rough-looking newcomer wants to fight alongside Valerian, hoping to gain some advantage. But the response he receives is just a simple word: disappear. "If you dare take my prey, then be prepared to have it taken back." No sooner had he finished speaking than the three newcomers immediately fled. Right after, his remaining arm lunged forward wildly. Valerian just sneered in contempt. "Can't you wait to go down with your teammates? I just charged in as if I saw the demons of hell." Fear filled their eyes, and they screamed continuously as they turned their heads to flee. It was then that they realized I was their master. After saying this, a magic orb formed from converged energy appeared in his hand and instantly pierced through the bodies of the remaining two goblins. The system announces, "Welcome to the first floor of the God Tower. Kill 10 goblins to complete the mission and advance to the next level." Such a simple task, why not take the opportunity to achieve the murderer achievement? It turns out that killing over 1,000 of a certain type of monster can earn you the corresponding murderer achievement. In his previous life, he had nearly completed all the achievements. Looking at the goblin corpse before him, he wanted to see what it could offer him. Immediately after, the goblin's corpse transformed into a cloud of blood essence, which he inhaled. But as soon as he absorbed this blood essence, he was surprised to discover that he could see the goblin's memories from the past. Even more interesting, he could now understand the goblin's language. Without waiting any longer, he immediately checked his status to see the changes in his attributes. These stats have increased tremendously. His stats are even comparable to a player on the 10th floor. Could this be an additional attribute of the master of all secondary profession? Just as he was pondering this, an intriguing image caught his eye: the Goblin King, who bore a resemblance to the character played by Chris Wu. He was preparing a trap for those who had been captured. Valerian merely laughed in the manner of a wizard. It turned out that the Goblin King relied solely on summoning small goblins to attack in groups. If so, this could not only help him quickly eliminate enemies to achieve the Goblin Slayer achievement, but also allow him to amass a large harvest to increase his own strength. To counter him, it is first necessary to build an army of the undead. After speaking, he waved his hand, and the goblins immediately fell. A system notification appeared. "Congratulations, you have independently completed your job change to become the Lord of Death." Immediately after, the goblins that had been slain transformed into skeletal warriors. Kneeling before him, thanks to the memories from my past life, I had completed the job transfer independently. It was surprisingly easy. Yet there was another hidden profession to acquire on the 7th floor. The skeletal warrior from my past life glanced sideways and saw several goblins, terrified, huddled on the ground. Stay back, my undead warriors, bring all the goblins you see to me." Just a moment later, I decided to build an army of the undead. Then, relying on memories from my past life, I arrived at a thatched hut that seemed long abandoned. Immediately, I completed an energy orb, muttering to myself that with this amount of energy, who would dare stop me? Instantly, I powerfully kicked the floorboards away. Sure enough, beneath the floor lay a deep, bottomless pit. I began to navigate the passage, organizing magical treasures along the way, as I needed to complete a rare high-level farming quest set by a death mage. Eventually, I found myself before an officer radiating a dark aura. Within him lay the first death mage along with the job transfer official. As I poured my energy into investigating the officer, a voice emerged from the skeleton, exuding a terrifying presence. "You are the first death mage, Carl," I stated. Carl turned to me. "Could it be that you are my descendant?" I smiled enigmatically. "It's been a long time, old friend." Upon hearing the term old friend, Carl was momentarily taken aback. He looked a bit awkward and replied, "Very few do not feel fear when facing me. You've put me in quite an uncomfortable position." "Old man, do you really think the Lord of Death would fear a skeleton like you? I'm here because I read your journal. In my previous life, I had stumbled upon a hidden artifact, the journal of the death mage Carl, and had tried to prevent Carl from succumbing to it, but failed. Thus, in this life, when confronting him, my desire to conquer him surged forth. Carl nodded and said, "I truly admire your courage. Compared to the rude brat from 10 years ago, you are much stronger now." Hearing these words, I couldn't help but tremble. Tarl was that loathsome skeleton, and I felt an overwhelming urge to smash him into countless pieces. However, to complete my job transfer, I had to suppress my anger and said, "Sir Tarl, could you expedite my job transfer more?" The advanced class of Lord of Death requires ascending to the 10th floor for the second transfer. Before Carl could respond, I presented my job transfer information for him to review. "See, I have become the Lord of Death." Upon seeing this, the dark eyes of Carl suddenly gleamed with brilliant light. "You accomplished the job transfer to the 10th floor all by yourself. Truly a genius. You surpass even that brat from before. So, Mr. Carl, can you assist me with my job transfer?" Now Carl replied, "Of course." With that, he began to chant a spell, raising his hand towards the heavens, as if communicating with an unseen entity. During this time, the life of Carl flashed before my eyes like a cinematic reel as the tower emerged on Earth. Tarl had ascended to become the supreme figure wielding the entirety of the tower's power. Despite being one of the most formidable death magicians, he had no intention of seeking strength from the golden bees. Instead, he immersed himself in enhancing the power of summoned creatures. What he desired was not monsters or death knights, but an entirely new breed of summoned beings. He believed that with the presence of souls from the deceased, he could summon a new species that would surpass all existing summoned creatures. After years of relentless research, he finally created a completely new profession, the Lord of Death. However, his weakened body could no longer endure. The profession of Lord of Death was teetering on the brink of extinction. To safeguard the legacy of this profession, he made a final fateful choice. He invoked an ancient, long-forgotten spell to transform himself into a being akin to an NPC, waiting for the arrival of a descendant who could restore his former glory. Just a moment later, the job change ceremony was finally complete. "Kid, you're not too shabby. From now on, you'll be the third generation of death magicians. The Soul Forge will aid you in capturing souls and also allow you to summon soul-infused creatures. Congratulations, little Ngay. I hope you conquer new heights. Let everyone witness the power of the lineage of the Lord of Death." Upon hearing this, Valerian merely smiled and replied, "Thank you, Senior. I will utilize the Soul Forge you bestowed upon me, and the first soul I capture will be yours, Carl. As for the grand aspirations of the Lord's lineage, I believe it's best left for you to fulfill." Hearing these words, Carl was taken aback. "What are you talking about?" Then he shouted, "Have you forgotten the promise in the journal? Do you intend to break that vow?" Valerian stepped closer to Carl, stating, "Senior, perhaps you have misunderstood. You entrusted your dreams to another. Today, I will assist you in breaking this bad habit." With that, Valerian activated the Soul Forge, calling out loudly, "Souls, gather." Instantly, Carl's soul was gradually drawn into the forge. In that moment, Carl refused to be manipulated any longer. "I am Carl. How could you imprison me in the Soul Forge?" With that, he immediately shed his magical cloak, severing the connection to his soul. Reduced to a mere skeleton, Carl raised a middle finger and said, "Are you trying to get my attention? You're still too green. Goodbye, kid." With those words, he turned to flee. But at that moment, Valerian maintained his composure, and just as Carl attempted to escape, he unexpectedly collided with an invisible wall. That was the magical trap Valerian had set along the way. At this point, Carl wondered how a newcomer could set such a trap. Valerian stepped forward slowly and said, "This is the magical prison prepared especially for you. This action will bring you dire consequences. Do you believe that with just one punch, I could shatter this prison thing? But little do you know, the entire path ahead is lined with precious stones." Valerian remarked, "Although this prison is easy to destroy, there is something waiting behind it. What awaits you is 1,000 magical prisons." At this moment, Carl realized that the man who had climbed to the first floor was truly terrifying. Enraged, he demanded, "Who on earth are you?" Valerian slowly lifted his hood, saying, "Even though I failed in my previous life, this time I will surely capture you, Carl." Upon hearing the words previous life, Carl's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that he was the disrespectful brat they spoke of? Surely, a second-generation necromancer could also be considered a third generation. At this moment, Carl began to grasp the true terror of the man before him. At this point, Valerian began to gather Carl's soul, leaving him with no escape. Carl's soul was being diluted at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, he became nothing more than a lifeless skeleton, devoid of vitality. Carl, don't be too angry. By my side, you will have everything you desire. Just then, as Valerian drained his soul, Carl's form was restored. Yet this only fueled his fury. Do you dare treat me like a mere spirit to control? Valerian merely smiled. You were quite handsome in your youth. Faced with this mockery, Carl suddenly unleashed a deadly, overwhelming power. You dare to belittle me, a first-generation necromancer. But before he could finish, Carl found himself frozen in place. It turned out all his strength relied on Valerian's support. If that support ceased, he would instantly vanish. Though he harbored countless grievances, Carl had no choice but to comply. Moreover, Carl, don't forget I possess another skill. Do you remember how you dealt with the disobedient summoned creatures? If you continue to seek trouble, don't blame me for not giving you a heads-up. Hearing this, Carl broke into a cold sweat. This meant that if he didn't fully submit right now, he would be devoured. Reluctantly, Carl had to yield. What do you want me to do for you? Valerian pointed towards a distant castle. We need to go wipe out the goblin nest there. In other words, if he didn't completely obey right now, he would be consumed. Finally, Carl had no choice but to surrender. What do you want me to do for you? Valerian gestured towards the faraway castle, saying, We must go eradicate the goblin horde residing there. As soon as they set foot in the castle, Valerian unleashed a vast army of undead warriors, paving the way for their lord. As more and more tiny goblins joined the fray, eager to face the Goblin King, he too decided to join the battle. The Goblin King was in the midst of conducting a sacrificial ritual. Sensing the thunderous noise outside, the Goblin King immediately commanded his subordinates to investigate. He couldn't allow anyone to interrupt the sacred ritual. Quickly prepare the offerings for me. Meanwhile, under the guidance of Cheng Cheng, the undead army swiftly approached the entrance of the grand altar. Suddenly, Cheng Cheng's eyes lit up. A familiar scent wafted through the air. It seemed the Goblin King was right inside the very hall. Leading the undead troops, he cautiously stepped into the chamber. At that moment, the Goblin King had plunged a dagger into the body of a priestess. It wasn't enough to satisfy the princess' insatiable thirst. There was still much more to fulfill. Just then, two small goblins dragged a woman toward him. The priestess turned out to be a member of the monster clan. This was a sacrificial offering far superior to any human. Gripping the woman's arm tightly, he believed she would finally quench the princess' desires. But as he reveled in his triumph, a swift blade whizzed by, forcing him to release her. The Goblin King looked up in shock. It's you, the one who dared intrude and disrupt my ceremony. What are you doing here? Are you fighting or summoning offerings? I advise you not to meddle in my affairs. This is a matter I must intervene in, and I intend to devour you. Such arrogance from a mere child. Offer your life. A creature wielding power on the first level still dared to act so brazenly. If you kneel and apologize, perhaps I will spare you. Just as the two were engaged in a battle of wits, the monster girl beside them saw an opportunity and prepared to flee. But the Goblin King was not about to let her escape so easily. He bellowed, "Great King of Demons, grant me strength." As he noticed an attack hurtling toward the monster girl, Valerian quickly moved to intercept it with his weapon. Turning to her, he urged, "You need to get out of here, now." But to his surprise, he spotted two horns atop her head. It was clear she belonged to the monster clan. Legend spoke of this powerful race existing only on the 100th floor of the Divine Tower. What was a small girl like her doing down here? Had something happened on the 100th floor? As he pondered this, Goblin King roared in fury, "You dare interfere with the sacrificial rite? I am preparing for the princess." With that, he suddenly detonated the goblin guards surrounding him. In that instant, energy exploded from the corpses, but for Valerian, this energy was insufficient to cause him distress as he unleashed a punch toward the Goblin King. The Goblin King was taken aback. How could someone from the first floor possess such formidable strength? As Valerian prepared to deliver a decisive blow, the Goblin King suddenly tilted his head back and howled, "Oh, demon lord, keeper of death, save me!" At that moment, the blood within him began to boil. In the next instant, a colossal hand emerged, grasping Valerian's body. He looked around and realized this was a blood puppet. How could this creature summon such a powerful demon? Before Valerian could react, the giant hand slammed him into the ground. Upon witnessing this scene, the Goblin King couldn't help but feel triumphant. "Ha ha! Did you see that humans have now witnessed my power? How dare you mention the summoning technique in my presence? It's like brandishing a sword before Guangong, truly a death wish," he boldly declared. "Let me show you what true summoning looks like." Suddenly, countless wretched souls surged into the blood puppet's body, causing it to writhe in turmoil. The belly of the blood puppet began to swell uncontrollably. In mere moments, the blood puppet's body had disintegrated into nothingness. At that moment, the Goblin King scratched his head in confusion. How could such a powerful blood puppet be so easily defeated by someone from the first floor? Valerian was equally astonished. This blood puppet couldn't possibly be summoned by just a single goblin, could it? It must be the demon controlling death that made this possible, right? At that, Boone furiously nodded. He had just ascended to the peak of wickedness as a death mage, and was now faced with the absurdity of the Goblin King's curiosity about his power. And here I am, fighting your follower. I unknowingly helped him summon that blood puppet. And you, Goblin King, who summoned this blood puppet, you're so clueless that you allow others to manipulate you, making you nothing more than a servant. This was utterly unacceptable. You killed my princess, and she will surely seek vengeance for me. Make sure to tell her to find me, so I won't have to hunt her down myself. Even in his final moments, Boone remained loyal, desperately pleading with the demon. This was the consequence of challenging the demon's authority. Valerian then coldly addressed Boone. "That's enough. You dare to challenge me. If anything happens from now on, don't say I didn't warn you." Despite the tensions that had arisen, Valerian was still able to manage the situation easily. He forced the Goblin King's soul into a singular entity. The soul sphere was immediately devoured by Valerian. This was a path to make him stronger. In that instant of consumption, he realized that this soul was indeed quite pathetic. There was only a slight increase in intelligence, and the attributes barely improved. Just then, as his anger simmered, the rescued monster girl approached gently. "Hello, my name is Ha-Li. Thank you for saving me." She had just been rescued by Valerian, and now she came to express her gratitude. Seeing this, Valerian asked, "Aren't you afraid I might be the villain?" Duto replied, "As long as one dares to offend me, they will be dealt with." Valerian sighed softly, realizing that indeed, the monster clan held grudges fiercely. Suddenly, he queried Duto, "Shouldn't you be on the 100th floor?" "Why are you here?" Duto answered, "Because someone suddenly attacked the monster village." Valerian felt a sense of intrigue. The monster clan within the Divine Tower was a formidable race. Even the ordinary families would hesitate to provoke them. Upon reflection, only the 4 great royal clans would dare to do so. The mighty warriors of the giant clan boasted colossal physiques and unparalleled strength, while the essence of magic belonged to the Dragon clan. They possess a unique magic. The celestial tribe wields the power of darkness. The punishment tribe is said to be angels cast down by the heavens. Beyond the 4 great royal clans, there exists a special group. These are the ones who conspire to eliminate their own stars. Just thinking about that main group makes Valerian grit his teeth in anger. At that moment, beside him, Duto anxiously asked, "Are you all right?" Having witnessed his power, Duto felt the urge to follow him for his own protection. After a moment of contemplation, Duto, though still young, realized he was a member of the demon tribe, and who knows, he might become a formidable force in the future. Cheng Cheng silently nodded in agreement. Meanwhile, Duto appeared strong and cheerful like a child. Just a second later, a sign of armor suddenly appeared on the corpse of the Goblin King. He then began to remove that armor. At this time, Carl arrived to report that all the goblins in the city had been turned into zombies. Duto, hiding behind Valerian, whispered, "This person is truly terrifying." Carl pointed at the child beside him and remarked, "Did you see that?" Of course, Valerian explained that Duto had been communicating with monsters since childhood. Suddenly, the system issued a mission command. Whoever defeats the Goblin King will have the chance to activate the monster assault. Upon hearing this, Valerian's mouth fell open in disbelief. Finally, I am getting what I wanted. However, both Carl and Duto felt that this was too reckless. Valerian merely smiled faintly. The reason I'm here to eliminate the Goblin King is precisely because of this place. The gods and demons around also deemed Valerian too reckless and warned that his choices could lead to his demise. The Demon of Death stated, "If Valerian can achieve the highest contribution, I will reward him." Valerian just chuckled lightly. Don't expect me to be easily fooled. Whether to accept or not depends on what the reward is. Bale, standing nearby, smirked. How bold. After all, if you die, I can finally be free. Carl reminded him, remember, I am your master while I'm alive. Even in death, you will remain my slave. After saying this, he immediately pressed the confirmation button. Instantly, the entire first floor lost its safety mode. His decision put everyone on the first floor in danger. Who could be so reckless to make such a choice? Regardless of whether the mission would be completed, everyone rushed toward the safety of the second floor. But before they could reach the entrance, a massive teleportation door appeared before their eyes. From within, countless goblins emerged, leaving everyone stunned with mouths agape. Damn it, there are so many. Suddenly, a colossal beam of white light appeared, separating the crowd from the goblins. The one who had just appeared was Valerian. He smiled at everyone, saying, "This is my battlefield. Anyone who dares to touch my prey will meet but one fate death." Everyone was astonished. Could he really take on this entire goblin army by himself? Valerian, however, showed no signs of worry as she activated her soul summoning skill. As her skill activated, a swarm of deathly soldiers erupted from her being. The soul of the monarch. How could a monarch's soul appear on the first floor? Duto wanted to assist her in exterminating the goblins, but he had to hurry. Otherwise, the entire army of the dead would wipe him out. Hearing this, Duto shook off his hesitation and summoned a crimson weapon from the void, adorned with deadly spikes on both sides. The weapon began to spin and elongated as a brilliant aura of spiritual energy enveloped Duto's hands. Valerian was taken aback. This sword was definitely not ordinary. The way she wielded it spoke of mastery. Was Duto really planning to attack the monstrous horde? Just then, an untimely voice interrupted his thoughts. What a proud display. Which clan's technique is this? Valerian coldly inquired. What do you want? I am Synthai, a member of the White Light Swallowing Guild, she replied. I've never heard of the White Light Swallowing Guild. It's a subsidiary guild of the Holy Nation run by the Perrin brothers. At the mention of the Perrin name, a fire of rage ignited within Valerian. But the man continued, Your skills are impressive. I invite you to join the Holy Nation. You're just in time. I'm about to settle the score with the Perrin brothers. Once I finish off these goblins, I'll have a word with you. At that moment, one of his underlings felt that Valerian was being overly arrogant, abusing her strength to bully others. He was still alive because he had value. In this brutal tower of gods, killing, looting, and murder knew no law. Only the strong could survive. If you don't want to die, get out of my way. He turned away, leaving the battlefield where a fierce battle raged on. Seeing the chaos, Valerian led Carl into the fray. The fallen goblin warriors, under his command, swiftly transformed into undead fighters. He ordered Carl to turn those corpses into more zombies. Then, let's have some fun. Meanwhile, Duto was locked in battle with a horde of goblins, feeling overwhelmed by their sheer numbers. He could sense his stamina waning. Was there really this many goblins? Just as he was distracted, a goblin launched a surprise attack from behind. The sudden strike caught Duto off guard, and he let out a pained scream. The pain reminded him of the village that had been assaulted by a mysterious force. This suffering felt trivial in comparison. In that moment, Duto had clearly reached the limits of his strength. Suddenly, he dropped to his knees. At the same time, Valerian was locked in battle with the goblin army. A mere human like him could unleash such powerful strength. That was precisely why he was determined to follow Valerian, no matter the cost, to ascend the tower and seek vengeance for his kin. Just then, a goblin lunged at Duto, just a step away from shattering his skull. Out of nowhere, a brilliant bolt of lightning struck, obliterating the goblin. It was Carl, the hero arriving just in time to save him. "Are you all right, little one?" "I'm fine, uncle," she replied, struggling to rise and continue fighting. Seeing this, Carl thought to himself how persistent this girl was. He couldn't help but wonder what she had been through. But suddenly, Duto asked, "Why did you save me? No one has helped me since the 100th floor. Is there some ulterior motive behind your assistance?" "There's no reason at all. I'm simply following Valerian's orders to ensure you don't die." The concern expressed by Valerian filled Duto with heartfelt gratitude. He vowed to repay this kindness to the best of his abilities. As those words left his lips, a radiant glow began to emanate from Duto's chest. In an instant, he produced a glowing demon mask from within. Unexpectedly, his power surged exponentially. Meanwhile, Valerian sensed this newfound strength as well. At that moment, Duto transformed, becoming an entirely different being. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind the goblin. With a swift motion, he unleashed a flurry of strikes, decimating the goblins like a bloodthirsty beast crashing into their ranks. This spectacle exhilarated Valerian, further affirming his theory. Indeed, the mysterious force that attacked Duto's village was aimed at capturing him. What secret did he harbor? For now, it was best to keep him in the dark. The battle was drawing to a close. Only 1 minute remained. As expected, the mysterious force assaulting Duto's village was there to abduct him. What could he possibly be hiding? For now, it was prudent to keep that information from him. The conflict was nearing its end, just 1 more minute to go. The portal began to shrink gradually. After the last goblin fell, the portal snapped shut, marking the end of this invasion. The system officially announced, "Congratulations, you have successfully thwarted the monster attack." At that moment, Duto was utterly exhausted. Just as he felt he was about to collapse, a strong hand lifted him. "Are you okay? You shouldn't use that skill in situations like this. I can manage on my own." A simple inquiry of concern made Duto blush fiercely with embarrassment. He quickly turned away and accessed the system status through contribution points totaling 123. The character would receive a reward. Valerian smiled mysteriously. "Good, it's time to calculate a few things now that the goblin army's assault has ended." This made Duto suddenly blush with embarrassment. He quickly turned away and opened the status system through contribution points. 123 points. The character will receive a reward. Valerian smiled mysteriously. "Good, it's time to calculate a bit after the goblin army's attack has ended." In total, more than 2,500 enemies were defeated. The system announced the achievement Goblin Hunter has been completed. All attributes increase by 5, and merit increases by 5,000. Though modest, this achievement reward will be quite useful for the future, as long as one keeps learning new skills. This value will be amplified infinitely. This is truly something to look forward to. The 3 of them will receive their corresponding rewards. Carl, revealing himself as an undead, stated that he cannot utilize the rewards. Seeing this, Duto reluctantly decided to give his share of the reward to Carl. "I hope you understand me. I've been betrayed once before, so I must hold back." After that, Valerian looked at Duto and said, "If you want me to fully trust you, then do something that pleases me. Otherwise, I cannot continue traveling with you." Hearing his words, Duto assured him, "I will not betray your trust." With that, Duto's expression suddenly turned serious. In the very next moment, he unexpectedly opened a portal within his body and retrieved a monstrous mask. "Can I give you this mask?" he asked. Valerian exclaimed, "Are you really willing to give your clan's monstrous mask to an outsider? How can this be? This is something that can only be gifted once during a lifetime proposal, and moreover, it embodies the essence of the power of the Beast clan." With a look of astonishment, Valerian questioned, "Why would you want to give that mask to him? Because by doing so, you will trust that I am not betraying you, and it is also to repay your life-saving grace. This mask is truly too precious." "I always felt you had another purpose," Duto slowly replied. "I seek vengeance. Perhaps I haven't explained myself clearly to you before. In fact, my village was completely burned to the ground. I intended to search for survivors, but until now, I have found no one. This means I might be the only one left of the Beast clan in this world, the last remaining member of the Beast clan. I must avenge the fallen of my clan. Therefore, I beg you, please take me along with you. Valerian contemplated for a moment. This girl seems to be like me. Very well, I agree with you. Unless you wish to die, do not even think about betraying me. Oh, by the way, this monstrous mask belongs to the Beast clan. I do not need it, Valerian agreed. At this moment, Duto smiled like a child. Thank you, big brother. Seeing Duto smile, his brother immediately froze in place. Call me whatever you like. As soon as he finished speaking, he tossed 3 reward crystals into the air. In an instant, the 3 crystals transformed into 3 sparkling pieces of jewelry. A magic ring that adds 5 magical power and reduces magic consumption by 10. A pair of magical earrings that increases magical power by 5. Decrease magical consumption by 15. Magical necklace grants 5 magical power. Reduces magical consumption by 20. Not bad at all. These rewards are truly remarkable for the Zombie King. He then put on each of these jewels, which could enhance both the quality and quantity of summoned beasts. Hey, how long are you going to stay silent? Just disappear. It seems you've forgotten the rewards you promised. The powerful Guo-En firmly insisted on changing the location for our conversation. All right, this place will do. Don't even think about running away. The demon managing death, Guo-En said. Stop pushing him too hard. Right after that, a surge of sinister energy erupted forth. Suddenly, on the table appeared a bone ring, radiating a dark energy. It seems like his wedding preparations have been meticulously arranged for today. Let me take a look. He widened his eyes in astonishment. Wait a moment. Carl and Duto, who were nearby, curiously asked, Is something wrong, brother? This ring, it emanates an eerie energy. The dark energy belongs to one of the 4 royal clans of the demon race. This is a fierce power drawn from high-grade magical resources. Normally, only those enslaved by the demon race can harness such dark energy. Just obtaining a little bit makes a noticeable difference. This ring instantly amplifies his dark energy by 10 points. This enhancement is a monumental leap. Then the friendly demon Guo-En extended his hand, inviting him for a partnership. Valerian happily agreed. If you're offering me such a fine item, I won't dwell on past grievances anymore. At that moment, Baal, the Wicked One, trembled uncontrollably at the side. With Guo-En around, I have been completely abandoned. Valerian questioned, Are you hoping for a free ride? Carl stood beside him, barely holding himself together. You little brat, daring to demand from a demon, Baal was momentarily stunned, not knowing what to do. Then he rummaged through the wardrobe and under the bed. Don't cause a ruckus. If you want to follow me forever, then name your price. After a moment of contemplation, Baal decided to issue a mission to Valerian. What mission is it, Baal? Are you serious? Then Baal confirmed, I want to assign you a mission. Carl chimed in. The tasks given by demons are never simple. You must seize this opportunity. All right, Baal, if you're being this sincere, then I'll grant you this chance. But Valerian firmly stated, I must choose for myself, because if I fail, I will become Baal's envoy. Baal fell silent for a moment, then cheerfully shook hands with Valerian. Duto asked, Brother, what's our next plan? Of course, we'll send Tal to capture that so-called ecological. Tal has dispatched his army of undead to follow him. Right now, he's still on the first floor. All right, I'll head out first, Duto said. Let's take a stroll, chat a bit, and tell me about your demon clan's masks, Duto said as he walked. Actually, there's nothing much to it. After all, it's just to awaken one's master with demon characteristics. The demons possess the ability to guide and wield divine powers, even foreseeing the future. This ability is known as prophecy. Valerian sighed, wishing he could choose a combat ability instead. Perhaps that would be better. Brother, you're underestimating the power of prophecy, Duto remarked. In the past, outsiders would offer valuable items to the elders of the clan to have them predict the future. They were always anxious about what lay ahead, seeking to alter their fate through this means. Valerian smirked slightly. That's just superstition. Isn't it more straightforward to rely on one's own strength to bring about change? Duto turned around, closed his eyes, and replied, That's great. It seems my abilities align perfectly with yours. Valerian raised an eyebrow. Why is that? Because my ability is combat prediction, anticipating the moves of both sides in battle. So, brother, do you find me useful now? As soon as he finished speaking, Valerian stepped forward and embraced Duto tightly, catching him off guard. This ability is truly perfect. At that moment, Duto's face turned a deep shade of crimson. Whether faced with an assassin swordsman or an archer, would they have the strength to fight against such dazzling stars? After saying that, he held Duto even closer. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, Baal and the nine-tailed fox were enjoying their meals beside them. Baal, you curious one, stay away from me. Valerian patted his head. I'm sorry, there was just a little incident, Duto said. It's fine. I'm just glad to help you. I will definitely repay you for this. And I will help you take revenge. Thank you so much. Then I rely on you. The scenery shifted, revealing Carl tightly gripping Ecstasy's face. Stop squirming, your friends have abandoned you. Just obediently go meet my master. That guy really doesn't realize how troublesome it is to deal with the living souls of 8 people. Why haven't they arrived yet? After he spoke, 2 figures suddenly appeared behind Carl. Well done, Carl exclaimed angrily. Why did you all arrive late? I was almost out of energy. This guy keeps trying to escape. At that moment, Valerian slowly drew his sword. Release him first. With that, the sharp blade plunged deep into the tree trunk. This is your sword. Do you want it? But first, you must choose how to carry this sword. Hold it in your hand or embed it into your body. It all depends on how you answer my question. Now tell me everything about being consumed by the light. Ecstasy, with a face full of fear, slowly began to divulge every detail. Watching Ecstasy leave in such a pitiful state, Carl questioned, Is that it? Just letting him go like that. It's fine. I will systematically defeat the entire group under the Holy White. I will defeat the enemies and lay the foundation for the production guilds. But first, my priority is to complete the mission Baal entrusted to me. The 3 of them then prepared to ascend to the 2nd level of the Divine Tower. Upon their arrival, everyone present was immediately astonished. What is that? The legendary Beast Mask, a cautious figure from the Academy, inquired, What is your name? Do you belong to a guild? Valerian didn't want to reveal his real name. I am called the Monster Mask. With that, the 3 of them stepped through the portal into the 2nd floor of the Divine Tower. All we need to do is eliminate the goblins and goblin warriors, and we can access the 3rd floor. This task is truly too simple, lacking any challenge. Baal, this mission falls to you. Are you treating me like free labor? Remember, you must capture me. I need to use the mana for a little experiment. If you want to observe, hurry and enjoy it, Carl said reluctantly. This guy is truly cunning, but don't waste all your mana. You must wait for my return. Cheng Cheng gazed at the demonic ring on his finger, hoping it would bring him an unexpected surprise. After whispering a prayer, he implored, 4 great royal families, grant me the strength of the demon race. Suddenly, a swirl of dark purple demonic energy burst forth from the ring. At that moment, a goblin with its tongue hanging out rushed towards him. It turned out that this goblin was mesmerized by Du Tuo's beauty. Just in time to find you, it exclaimed, and with that, the stream of demonic energy surged forth. However, this lecherous goblin managed to dodge the onslaught of demonic energy. Unfortunately for him, he sidestepped an attack that didn't even need to hit its target. With that, the goblin was reduced to nothing but ash. The reason was simple. Low-level monsters couldn't withstand the frenzied power of demonic energy. Now came the crucial part. Infusing the demonic energy into a corpse would create even stronger undead warriors. But just as he prepared to merge the demonic energy with the undead essence, a sharp pain pierced through Cheng Cheng's bones, making him gasp in agony. This is bad. The undead essence can't endure the demonic energy. It's about to collapse. It seemed the demonic energy was too potent, so he instantly reduced it from 10 points to just 1. After a series of arduous maneuvers, at last, a demonic energy-infused undead warrior was born. The races outside the demon realm had likely never used pure demonic energy, hence everyone was unaware that it could easily be depleted. Just then, Carl completed his task and approached him. That's incredible. Perfect fusion. This demonic energy-infused undead warrior shall be named Demon Spirit Warrior, Cheng Cheng declared. That sounds splendid. Truly worthy of being my disciple. Your skills are truly remarkable. Cheng Cheng inquired somewhat helplessly. So, does that mean I have to infuse demonic energy each time? That sounds rather troublesome. What if I could summon the corpses myself? Meanwhile, Cheng Cheng also mentioned he was somewhat skilled at corpse summoning. He chuckled lightly. It seems you finally learned to respect yourself. Now, let me show you what a true corpse summoning looks like. In the next instant, an overwhelming wave of undead energy erupted from his body. Tal, stop. If you do that, your soul will dissipate. But Tal shouted back, don't just stand there like a statue. Quickly infuse the demonic energy into my body. If you succeed, I'll be able to summon the demon spirit warrior instantly. So that was it. Disrespect was not an option. You can do it, master. With that, he channeled 10 points of demonic energy directly into Carl's body. In the next moment, he felt himself elevate, shooting upwards toward the sky. Beside him, Dutuo exclaimed in astonishment, Carl, old man, will he be all right? Don't worry, this old man has a sturdy physique, Carl shouted. After I complete the fusion, just wait and see how I tear you apart. He had been anticipating this moment for so long. If your abilities could threaten me, I would be truly thrilled. Meanwhile, the fusion between Carl and the demonic energy reached its final stage, transforming into a whirlwind of chaotic energy, swirling endlessly as if the apocalypse were upon us. In the next moment, a surge of power exploded forth. Carl emerged, enveloped by an overwhelming force far greater than before, stepping forward slowly. Valerian smiled confidently, knowing he had succeeded. The strongest sorcerer is none other than you, Carl. Yet to think that in your dying moments, you would say, you have committed a grave sin, my cherished disciple. Creating a sorcerer stronger than yourself, this is your greatest folly as the Lord of Hell. At this moment, Valerian Vu gently donned the monstrous mask. Just in time, as I was also seeking a formidable opponent to test this mask, while showing you who the true Lord of Hell really is. Under the unflinching control of the man, he had now conjured a sorcerer hundreds of times stronger than himself. Little did he know, this innate sorcerer would slay him and seize his place. Yet, in the eyes of the man wearing the monstrous mask, the magical warriors he summoned moved as slowly as turtles. With a single punch, he shattered those magical warriors into pieces, leaving the sorcerer in utter disbelief. The scene sent this sorcerer flying away. You, sorcerer, were created by my own hands. You should obediently submit to me, otherwise I will make your soul dissipate into nothingness. Dutuo rushed to Carl, who was being struck down to the ground by Valerian Vu. Old man, are you all right? Don't worry, Carl replied. This body can withstand ordinary punches, of course. It wouldn't harm me. But even now, his face felt hot and stinging. Dutuo cautiously asked, Brother, did you use the power of the mask earlier? Yes, Carl confirmed. When I wore the mask, everything around me seemed to slow down, as if I had reached the pinnacle of perfection. If what you say is true, it seems to be a side effect of not using the mask's power correctly. What a side effect from improper use. If that's a side effect, just how powerful would it be if used correctly? Dutuo slowly explained, the enemy's movement slowing down is just the basics. After that, you should be able to predict their actions. Valerian Vu excitedly clenched Dutuo's hand. Hurry, tell me how to reach that level. Dutuo admitted that he wasn't entirely sure. It's as if that ability just came to me naturally. Valerian Vu chuckled. Forget it. Dutuo is a genius among the monster clan. For him, this is as easy as breathing. Immediately, Dutuo curiously asked, Brother, do you feel dizzy at all? Valerian Vu replied, Not at all. Why, is there something strange? He noted that monsters who hadn't properly trained often felt dizzy and nauseous. But you're human. Why do you feel nothing at all? Valerian Vu looked puzzled. It's because I didn't use my predictive ability at all, he explained. Then Valerian Vu gently rubbed Dutuo's forehead. Thank you. Without you, who knows how arrogant Carl would have become. From a death mage evolving into a power mage, tenfold stronger, and yet this kid still overwhelms me. Valerian Vu looked at Carl with a sympathetic gaze. Old man, there's no need to be sad. At this moment, Carl resembled a 3-year-old child who had just found his mother. He clung tightly to Dutuo, tears and snot running down his face. I'm crying so much. Can you comfort me? Then he turned to the goblin beside him. Hey, Dutuo, why is that goblin still standing there? Didn't you catch enough of them? Do I have to capture them myself? Tarl screamed in frustration, his face twisted in rage, not believing that a powerful mage like him had ended up in such a predicament. Tarl's fury raged like a storm upon the innocent goblins waiting for their doom. The 3 of them easily made their way to the 5th floor of the Divine Tower. There, a pale green goblin was dangling from a tree. Before it could comprehend what was happening, a poisoned arrow shot forth from a blowgun, striking true. This scene had already been detected by Du To, who swiftly swung his sword to sever the poisoned arrow mid-flight. With an eerie smile, Du To taunted, "You dare to sneak attack me, the one you hold dear." The goblin, frozen in fear by the spectacle, felt cold sweat trickling down its back. Before it could react, Carl lunged at it. But at that moment, Carl noticed something was off with Du To beside him. He suddenly broke into a strange, unsettling grin that sent chills down Carl's spine. Instinctively, he reached out and asked Du To, "Are you all right? What's with that grin? Why do I feel like you're mocking me while wielding your sword?" Just as Carl prepared to press further, Valerian stood up abruptly and declared, "Tonight, I will once again activate the tide of monster attacks." Time rewound to a day before they entered the 5th floor. The three gathered around the campfire, discussing their next steps. Valerian suddenly announced that he had found a way to intentionally trigger the tide of monster attacks. With a look of disbelief, he asked, "What you mean to deliberately activate the monster tide?" "That's right. In my previous life, while I was on floors 300 and 400, the ground split open, revealing a mysterious cave. He stumbled upon this method. Each floor of the tower conceals a central area capable of triggering the tide monster attack. As long as we relentlessly strike that central area with magic, the tide monster assault will commence," Carl explained. "You've tried this method and reaped many benefits, haven't you, Cor?" But he was immediately dismissed by Valerian. Monsters on the 300th floor are no easy prey like goblins. Even the 4 great royal clans cannot face the tide monster assault alone. But this time, it's different. Right now, we are only on the 4th floor. We can swiftly overcome the tide monster attack to enhance our strength. Meanwhile, everyone on the 4th floor felt the ground tremble. Damn it! Is it another tide monster assault? Is someone triggering a tide of monster attacks? All I can see is a horde of goblins charging towards us. A Yang is running away. How can there be a tide of monster attacks in this village? Goblins on the 4th level are not to be trifled with. They immediately raise their poisoned blowpipes, aiming at the fleeing ones, unleashing darts of venom. These poisoned darts induce paralysis. I can't run anymore. It's the end for me. In this moment of life and death, the hero of the tide of monster attacks appeared. Valerian rushed forward. The assault formation was set. In no time, those who could not escape were dispatched with ruthless efficiency. A rescued student asked, "Are you Valerian?" He coldly replied, "Enough chatter." Quickly move the injured to safety. When Valerian lifted his head, the student realized he was the one they had encountered 3 tiers ago. Upon this realization, everyone exclaimed, "It's Valerian. He defeated the tide of monster attacks before. Now we have hope." Valerian slowly lowered his mask. "Remember this handsome face well. Spread my name far and wide when you get outside." With that, he waved his hand. "Let's fight, my magical warriors." Instantly, the corpses on the ground transformed into magical warriors. The magical warriors charged at the remaining goblin army. Carl, standing nearby, was not pleased. "What are you pretending at? I summoned them all. Stop ranting and continue summoning magical warriors." But neither of them expected that. Suddenly, the goblin magical warriors ignited in flames. In the blink of an eye, dozens of magical warriors were reduced to ashes. It turned out that many goblins couldn't inflict damage on the magical warriors. Carl said, "Right now, the most important thing is to defeat those mages. Otherwise, the magical warriors won't be able to unleash their full potential." Just then, while the two were discussing tactics, Du To suddenly appeared above the goblin mage, having snuck in, unnoticed. Without warning, she jumped down, and all that could be heard was the sound of slicing as the goblin mages fell one after another. Valerian no longer hesitated. The flames can affect the souls of goblins. They don't deserve such power. With that, he opened his mouth and immediately unleashed the skill. Devour. He absorbed the magical power of the goblin mage into his body. Then he let out a roar. Soul flame. Hundreds of goblins were instantly engulfed in flames. "Well done, Du To. Keep dealing with the goblins as you have been." But unexpectedly, Du To turned around and flashed a mysterious smile. Seeing this, Valerian anxiously asked, "Du To, are you all right?" But Du To didn't respond. Instead, Arcs of lightning flickered before turning into a whirlwind of blood-red fury racing towards the goblins. At that moment, Valerian realized that Duto's sword was emanating a heavy aura of blood. This was certainly no ordinary blade, yet he still couldn't grasp the situation fully. At this moment, Duto was enveloped in a crimson glow of magic, her eyes filled with an eerie brilliance. The sword in her hand radiated a heavy aura of blood, transforming her into someone entirely different from before. Seeing Duto showing signs of instability, Valerian shouted her name, but Duto remained silent, merely turning back to jest with him. Just as his words faded, Duto's sword slashed horizontally into Valerian's chest. Valerian quickly dodged, exclaiming, "Duto, what are you doing?" Moments later, a cracking sound echoed as the building behind them was cleaved in two by Duto. Dust and debris filled the air. Even the shadows of Valerian were severed by the blade's sharp light. He pondered, why is this sword so powerful? Who exactly is Duto? When she goes berserk, I can't even contend with her. Just then, Duto let out a fierce roar. She swung her bloody sword like a storm aimed straight at Valerian's head. Realizing the danger, Valerian immediately dodged, removing his mask, and shouted, "Duto, it's me, Valerian. Don't you recognize me?" But what greeted him was Duto's cold gaze. In this critical moment, he could only draw his staff to block the incoming blow from the bloody sword. However, the pressure that the sword exerted on him was beyond his imagination. He was utterly unable to withstand it. Moments later, he was thrust down to the ground by the might of the bloody sword. Carl, witnessing this, shouted, "Valerian, are you all right, lying there in the dust?" "Duto, what's wrong with you?" Valerian sensed Carl calling him and coughed, "I'm fine. I'm not dead yet. It's just that Duto, this girl, has suddenly become so powerful that I can't resist." Just then, Duto emerged from the cloud of dust, flashing a smile at Valerian. She emanated a strange aura. At this moment, Valerian drew a massive axe. "Carl, you go deal with those goblins. I'll handle this girl, Duto. I don't care if you're Duto or some creature, your choices are limited to death or servitude." With that, he charged at Duto, activating the monster mask skill. Drawing from his previous life's battle experience, he knew that the sword in Duto's hand could slice him in an instant. "As much as I sympathize with your current predicament, our relationship can only end here." As he spoke, he raised his gigantic axe with the power of battle prediction. Just as the axe was about to strike Duto's head, her mind suddenly cleared, and she shouted, "Brother-or." At that moment, Valerian's attack slowed for a heartbeat. But that single heartbeat was all it took for Duto to block the descending axe with one hand. Valerian was immediately taken aback. Is this the battle prediction of Duto? He thought. Moments later, Duto flashed a mysterious smile at Valerian, perhaps thinking to herself, how arrogant to flaunt a great axe before a warrior like Guangong. She continued her assault, launching Cheng Cheng far away, sending him flying tens of meters, blood spewing from his mouth. At that moment, Cheng Cheng was utterly exhausted, barely managing to prop himself up with his hands. Just then, Dutuo regained her composure. Looking toward Cheng Cheng in the distance, she intended to say something, but suddenly, the ground before her erupted, revealing thousands of skeletal hands reaching upward. Cheng Cheng whispered, "The souls sleeping beneath the earth, rise now. Crush this wicked girl before you." Instantly, the spirit warriors charged at Dutuo like a torrential downpour. In her moment of panic, not knowing what to do, the spirit warriors launched their attack. I couldn't even catch a glimpse of how the spirit warriors were severed. Could it be that he was employing combat prediction? With his current strength, he truly couldn't handle this. Realizing she was trapped, Dutuo had no choice but to flee, unleashing a wave of dark energy. As the mist enveloped her, she quickly escaped from that place. Just as she dashed forward, she unexpectedly found herself unable to stand. Was it due to exhaustion? No, blood was streaming from her eyes. Was her body facing some abnormality? Perhaps this was the consequence of misusing her predictive abilities. Overall, she still had a chance. After saying that, he stepped forward. "Then I will force you to use combat prediction once again." Seeing Cheng Cheng still daring to show himself, Dutuo gripped her blood-soaked sword and charged after him. But after chasing her for a short distance, she stopped, glaring at Cheng Cheng. Cheng Cheng subtly raised his pinky finger. "Go on, hit me." Don't you want to fight? Dutuo was seething with anger, ready to explode. With her blood-drenched sword in hand, she lunged at Cheng Cheng. He narrowly dodged, evading Dutuo's lethal strike. Just then, Dutuo seemed to regain her wits, but suddenly, two goblins armed with poison blowpipes appeared from either side. It turned out to be undead goblins. Immediately, they fired from their blowpipes. Cheng Cheng felt as if his legs were weighed down. No matter how strong he was, if struck by the goblin's poison, he would be caught. But if he wanted to avoid the poison darts, he needed to use combat prediction. This was precisely what Cheng Cheng had been hoping for. He activated his combat prediction, and Dutuo roared. In the blink of an eye, the two goblins fell lifelessly to the ground. Instantly, she swung her bloodied sword towards Cheng Cheng. Cheng Cheng jumped swiftly, narrowly evading the attack from the blood-soaked sword. Dutuo denied him any opportunity to catch his breath. She leapt forward, charging at him. This scene caught Cheng Cheng off guard, as Dutuo's reaction was so swift that he couldn't dodge in time. He could only watch helplessly as the bloodied sword hurtled toward him. Was Cheng Cheng truly destined to die under this flower, becoming a ghost himself? Even as a spirit, there was a certain allure to it. Just as Cheng Cheng was about to pay the ultimate price with his life, suddenly, the poisoned needle of the goblin zombie pierced Yusu's shoulder, leaving him momentarily stunned. It turned out that Che Cheng Yu had made the zombie stab through his own body, catching Yusu off guard. "Boss, let's see how I perform this time," he thought. "You better throw in some chicken feet for me." "What do you mean, add anything? Can't you see I've been poisoned?" Yusu retorted angrily. "Hurry up and get that poison needle for me. Aren't you supposed to be strong? Keep going." Che Cheng Yu shot back. Little did they know, in the next moment, Yusu could no longer keep his balance and began to crumble. Che Cheng Yu rushed forward to catch him, his mind racing as he contemplated how to handle this awkward situation. Yusu had managed to develop an immunity to toxins through chewing, but now he lay unconscious beside him. The weight of Yusu's potential weighed heavily on Che Cheng Yu. The scenery shifted, and Yusu found himself falling into an unknown realm. "Is this my body?" he wondered. "Where am I?" As he grasped the blood sword in his mind, a shadowy figure suddenly appeared, fixated on him. The guardian of this place turned out to be a tiny ghost. "Are you a monster?" Yusu asked. The figure replied, "You're only half right." In the next moment, he thrust his sword into a vulnerable spot of Yusu's. "Because you are a descendant of the monster clan, don't blame me for not warning you. If you dare to pull out this sword so easily again, I will consume your consciousness." Before he could finish, Yusu suddenly opened his eyes. "Hey, look, Yusu is awake." Che Cheng Yu exclaimed, "Do you remember what you did to me just now?" Yusu shook his head, claiming he had no recollection of anything. Afterwards, the three of them made their way to a town on the 6th floor of the Divine Tower. The two decided to let Yusu rest and regain his strength before they would charge together to the 10th floor, but first, they had to deal with the boss on the 9th floor. Carl said, "The boss on the 9th floor is a half-beast warrior of royal level." Hearing this, Yusu replied, "Then let's wait for me to recover, and we'll fight together." But Che Cheng Yu splashed cold water on the enthusiasm. "Nah, it's better if each of us looks after ourselves." Yusu exclaimed in surprise, "Brother, why are you planning to abandon me?" Che Cheng Yu interrogated Yusu, "What did you do in that battle on level 5? Your blood sword is actually a demonic sword. It grants you power, but is also corroding your consciousness. When you lost consciousness, you nearly killed me. If you rely too much on that unstable power, you'll collapse before reaching the 100th floor. So if you wish to continue with us, you must forsake that unpredictable strength." "I understand. I will definitely strive to reach the 10th floor of the Divine Tower to meet you." With that, the two stood up and bid farewell. Yusu handed Cheng Yu a cloak. "Go out alone, and don't let anyone know you are a descendant of the monster. Then let's part ways for now. I'll go ahead." They both watched the solitary figure of Yusu depart, their hearts heavy with reluctance. "No matter how long it takes, we will wait for you at the 10th floor." Then, they headed towards the 9th floor of the Divine Tower. 3 days later, they had fought their way straight to the 9th floor. Before them stood a goblin, half-beast, its physique only slightly superior to that of a normal goblin. Instantly, they donned their monster masks and began their assault. "You're just a goblin with a pretty face," Carl taunted. "Let's see if I can take you down." With a swift motion, he struck the goblin boss squarely in the face. Carl was propelled into the air, delivering a powerful kick to the goblin boss, sending it crashing to the ground. At that moment, Carl reminded, "Don't forget to capture the body's wing. We need to create some half-beast undead." Presently, both viewed monster hunting as a daily routine. Carl suddenly asked, "Don't you think Yusu seems a bit too cold? Wait until you meet him again, then you can criticize me," Chengyu replied. "Now stop dawdling and let's grab some more half-beasts." Carl instantly seethed with frustration. "Did your parents not teach you to respect your elders and love the young?" Carl was taken aback by this. It turned out that both Chengyu and Yusu had grown up in an orphanage. In an instant, Carl clapped a hand on Chengyu's shoulder. "That's something you can't avoid." But before he could finish, Chengyu covered his mouth. "Don't change the subject. Hurry and catch some half-beasts. You little brat, you are so rude. Come here for a hug." He told Chengyu to keep his distance. "I've always been like this since I was young. I hate being pitied by others." Chengyu unexpectedly achieved the feat of slaying half-beasts and then teleported to the challenge area of the 10th floor of the Divine Tower. The system announced, "You can only reach the 10th floor after defeating the Lord Monster, otherwise you will be forcibly returned to the 9th floor." Carl wondered, "I don't think I've seen this before." He then noticed that most players who had passed this stage took around a minute. Not only were their names absent, but most were members of the 4 major clans, those born with destiny. "How about we see if we can break the record today?" "Haha, that sounds like a pretty good idea." Before the challenge began, the system would give the challengers time to prepare. 1 minute later, the system would begin summoning the Lord Monster. As soon as the boss appeared, Carl immediately used the soul minions to bind it, preparing for a grand massacre. Chengyu slammed down hard onto the ground. From the palm of his hand, a mysterious power spread around. The next moment, he summoned a magical spear formed from energy. Then, murmuring an incantation, he declared, "Let you taste the power of the undead king." Elemental connection. Agile, nimble, deadly, 5 different attributes surged towards the magical spear. He almost forgot this technique. Dark demonic energy, gravity spikes, only the roaring sound of thunder was heard. Just like the warriors waiting for their master's command to show me the power of the descendants of the 4 major families, the earth cracked open with just a loud bang. The competition officially began, and the monster lord opened his eyes. "He was disturbed my beauty. You, a fool who knows not life or death, prepare to face my wrath. Enough talk, warriors, crush this monster for me." Immediately, the monster lord was bound tightly by Carl's soul chains. Chengyu immediately shouted Gungnir. A meteor-like spear pierced the monster lord from his palm and pierced the monster lord. The monster lord was immediately pierced and exploded. The monster lord's mountain-like body collapsed in front of Chengyu. "Notify the system. You updated the 10th floor. Check if your name is in the record." He smiled, "So leave it for Devil's Face." At the same time, in the small bar on the 8th floor, people are talking about Devil's Face. That guy didn't cross the 10th floor for a second, and now Sue is also looking at the screen in surprise. "Brother, wait for me. I will definitely work hard." Now Carl excitedly accuses Haha of breaking the record of the 4 major families. This is truly an achievement that necromancers through the ages could not accomplish. But Chengyu simply remarked, "Aren't the necromancers through the ages just you and me? Don't delay any longer. There are still many tasks waiting for us to handle above." The scene shifts to a man with golden hair intently watching the screen in front of him. Demon face. Huh, interesting. Then, the 2 head to the largest city on the 10th floor, which is also the largest city across all 100 floors. The portal to Earth is built here, so many people gave up climbing the tower and came here to do business, forming a commercial district. On the road they walked. There were everywhere Jinfu fruit shops, Jinfu processing factories, Jinfu hotels. Carl wants to know which family Xiao Jinfu belongs to. Cut into Jade slowly explained that everything belongs to the Jinfu Chamber of Commerce. This is the largest trade association in the tower. Decades ago, the real name of the chairman of the Jinfu Chamber of Commerce was Buddha Ming. As the wealthiest person in the tower, almost everything in the tower is controlled by him. Now Carl wants to know how you know this. Che Chengyu replied, "My goal this time is to find a donor." Now Carl has no idea what the donor is. Sponsor Che Chengyu pointed to Kim Fu's logo. "All these street signs are our future sponsors." Upon hearing this, Carl was immediately stunned. "The sponsor you mentioned is not—" "Yes, the sponsor I am looking for is Kim Fu. The Kim Fu Guild. As long as you offer a price, anything of value can be traded through the guild." "Hello, sir. If you wish to trade goods, you must register your name first." Che Chengyu said nothing in response. Then he pulled out a monster mask. "Please rephrase your language." Immediately, the other person was startled. Are you the legendary Demon Face? Do you need to register my name?" After saying this, he poured all the money from his backpack out. "This is the money of those who have passed away. You're spending so much, what are you preparing to buy? I want to meet your boss. Is Mr. Kim Fu available? I'm really sorry, but this transaction might not be possible. First, the boss of the Kim Fu Guild is often very busy. Secondly, although 3,000 gold is not a small amount, it is not enough to buy our boss time." Che Chengyu pondered for a moment. "How much would it cost me to meet your boss?" Che Chengyu. The scene moved Che Chengyu to a private room on the 2nd floor. "I am the branch manager of the Kim Fu Guild on the 10th floor, Mr. Fa Fai. You are the infamous Demon Face. I heard you wanted to meet the boss of the Kim Fu Guild." Che Chengyu glanced around. "Yes, but it seems he is not here. I'm sorry, Demon Face. The amount you offered might not be sufficient." "Sir, if not, then let's do this, you call him here. I guarantee that when he meets me, he will definitely want to become my sponsor." "Don't you think your attitude is too arrogant? Although your name is very big now, but relying solely on this to meet our boss might be a fanciful dream." At the same time, a magic string appeared in Pafa's hand. This is Pafa's puppeteering skill, which can manipulate objects tied by the magic string. "I'm sorry, Mr. Demon Face. Perhaps I should invite you out," Valerian Wu, looking arrogantly at the magic line in front of you. "Today, I'm going to tell you what true arrogance is." Poppy looked surprised. "This is a technique for dealing with players on the 180th level. A new player like you cannot accept it on the 10th level." Then he reluctantly smiles. "But let's try this method." When Puffy clasped his hands together, he made a crackling sound, and the two immediately got lost in a desolate world. "Kid, I bet this is your first time witnessing such a scene, huh? This is—" Before he could finish his thought, Valerian Vu's mind was thrown into chaos. "You have separated our souls to create an entirely new infinite world." Puffy's face displayed disbelief. "How could a level 10 player know about the inner workings of this world?" "Then you should understand that here, we can only fight using experience and spiritual power. If you can defeat me, I will grant you a chance to meet our master." As soon as the words left his mouth, countless strands of purple magic ensnared Valerian Vu, rendering him immobile. However, he calmly replied, "This is exactly what you just mentioned. Don't you realize your skills, while powerful, are utterly ineffective here?" No sooner had he spoken than he tore apart the magical bindings around him. "Use any other tricks you have." Puffy gazed in astonishment at the man before him. This fellow must be a player at least level 200 to possess such mental strength. How could this be? Shortly after, Puffy snapped his fingers. "All right, I admit your strength can rival mine." As his words faded, soulless dolls began to emerge from the empty void. Experience is power. These dolls have been summoned based on previous experiences. They are all human-shaped weapons enhanced by magical energy, each possessing the strength of a player from over 50 floors. Therefore, from the moment you stepped into this inner world, the outcome had been predetermined. Fear not, Lord Destruction, for the wounds here will not affect your physical body. It seems this battle is nearing its conclusion. But unexpectedly, right after that, the human-shaped dolls were swept away by Valerian Vu. How could this happen? Has this kid cast a spell? Just then, an angry voice from ancient times echoed in his ears. A skeletal mage wielding a staff radiating a deadly aura appeared before Puffy. The Soul Mage, a level 100 monster lord, why is it here? Valerian Vu opened his mouth, looking at Poffy and said, "It turns out that in the inner world, summoning the dead is such a laborious task, and a doll core is merely child's play. I guess you've never seen what a real undead army looks like." Instantly, Poffy was furious. "Then show me what a true undead army looks like." Immediately, the air thickened with death as ancient corpses emerged from the void, even revealing images of the 4 great royal families. At this moment, Poffy had completely given up resistance. The Soul Mage, alongside the 4 legendary royal families, and even creatures he had never heard of. "Destruction, who exactly are you?" Poffy collapsed to his knees before Valerian Vu, his body limp. "How could a level 10 newbie like me control your inner world?" Valerian Vu looked down at him, saying, "Stop pretending. Now we can fulfill our pact, right?" With that, he handed a letter to Poffy. Poffy stated that if there was no response after sending it, he would have no other choice. Valerian Vu confidently replied, "He will definitely respond to us." Then, under Poffy's respectful gaze, the two departed. "Let's go, Carl. We have another place to visit before Boss Kim Fu arrives. Isn't waiting here a waste of time?" Shortly after, the two arrived at the Baiguang village manor. With a loud crash, the guild hall door was forcefully pushed open by Valerian Vu. "Welcome to the Baiguang Village Guild. How may I assist you today?" "I wish to join your Baiguang Village Guild." "Welcome, welcome. May I ask if you have any referrals or sponsors?" "Not at all. I just heard your guild is powerful, so I came to check it out." "It seems like a newbie who knows nothing." The blonde girl looked down at him disdainfully. "To enter the guild, one must first demonstrate their skills." Valerian Vu immediately pulled out a gold coin. "Please watch closely." Instantly, the two were left astonished by this performance. This man can truly bend a gold coin in half with just 2 fingers. This is merely child's play." Cheng Chengwu added with a smirk, "I also know a few simple spells." Flames ignited in his hands, each flicker reflecting a mysterious sigil of power. With proper training, he could become a key figure in the guild. The blonde girl remarked, "He seems quite handsome and talented." She shot a cold smile at Cheng Chengwu. The show is about to begin. At that moment, someone rushed in with urgent news. Outside, countless dark creatures are rampaging and destroying the village. Upon hearing this, the blonde girl gritted her teeth in anger. "This is a disaster, ruining my plans. All players above level 50, gather quickly." Before long, they traced the source of the disturbance back to, "This man has wreaked havoc on many villages, yet he wears a look of embarrassment. How infuriating, Cheng Chengwu. It seems that my reputation as the mage of the lion form is about to be tarnished by him." Meanwhile, Cheng Chengwu was mercilessly slaughtering foes within the guild hall. "Tell me the list of remaining trade guilds and their exact locations. I need this information to eradicate them myself." Yet this man seems oblivious to the danger. "Do you dare to openly challenge 2 beings of the 9 stars? Do you wish to leave this tower alive? Don't worry about me. Focus on your own safety first." With that, he tightened his grip around the throat even more. The man immediately reached for something on the table across from him. But only the dead can keep secrets. He then picked up a list from the trade guild, which included the Kim Shu Trade Guild. "Can Kailman, prepare for my vengeance. I will systematically destroy the foundation of your existence. But first, let this trade guild before me vanish completely." The scene shifted to President Kim Shu, who was flipping through documents at his desk. Why write a letter instead of just a report? But when he opened the letter, his eyes widened in disbelief. How does this monster know about this? At the same time, President Beck of the White Light Guild felt that this incident might have been instigated by Trangok and Dao. He questioned the 2 women who were attending to him. "What does this person look like?" "He has a tall, straight nose, a handsome man," one replied. "The other has a round, flat nose, extremely ugly." At that moment, everyone realized they had fallen under Trangok's illusion. Just as Trangok expressed his desire to know everything in their minds, a series of urgent knocks echoed from the door. "This isn't good. Have they discovered us?" Immediately, Trangok declared he would count to 3 before opening the door, while Carl prepared to capture whoever entered. Trangok quietly approached the door to summon the soul chain, then swiftly seized the person outside. The sound of clinking chains echoed as they tightly bound the intruder. It was at this moment that the true nature of the situation began to unfold. This person is actually a servant of Kim Fu, sent to inform Trang Ngok that his master is waiting for him on the 10th floor. However, upon opening the door, he was met with a row of armored knights. Trang Ngok, filled with suspicion, asked, "Are these knights here to welcome me?" Slowly, Kim Fu stepped out, surprised that Trang Ngok truly dared to face him. But that's all it is, no one can survive to uncover that secret. Yet Trang Ngok merely smiled softly. "It's been a while, old friend Kim Fu." Without hesitation, Kim Fu commanded the knights to take him away. Make sure not to kill him. Trang Ngok, assuming a battle stance, quipped, "Are you preparing for a fight against me?" Just as he finished speaking, a powerful attack surged toward him. But how could they hope to match Trang Ngok? In a blink, the knights were brought down. The next opponent was Kim Fu, who raised his hands as Trang Ngok's attack approached, surrounding him with an abundance of gold and silver. Witnessing this, Trang Ngok's eyes widened in disbelief. Could this be a skill technique consuming gold and silver, enhanced by magical energy? Yet Trang Ngok remained unfazed, leaping toward Kim Fu. "Is this all the power you possess?" Kim Fu retorted. "Of course, I have more up my sleeve. Just look closely, monster." Suddenly, countless golden needles erupted from the ground, aimed directly at Trang Ngok. A mere prick would seal his fate. Kim Fu raised his hand to the sky, declaring, "It's time to end this." But unexpectedly, a chilling light flickered. "Don't speak too soon, Kim Fu. You might be a bit too confident." Kim Fu effortlessly blocked the attack, stating, "As long as I wish it, you will die at any moment." Trang Ngok calmly replied, "Before I get the answer you seek, I will not die," because he wanted to unveil the source of this information. Kim Fu then led Trang Ngok into a secret chamber. As soon as the door closed, he harnessed his energy to create a barrier. Neither gods nor demons can infiltrate this place. "Now, can we finally talk? Who told you that I am the owner of the auction house?" It turns out that the auction house is the largest trading system within the tower. Yet it was not a creation of the tower's deity, but rather a construct of humanity. And I, Kim Fu, am the one who created the auction house. If this secret gets out, the foundation of the Kimsu Trade Association will crumble. Trang Ngok simply chuckled. "You've been deceived, there really is no one like that, until you lose an arm and a leg." That moment, he witnessed a monstrous axe forming from the skill, charging toward him, radiating a suffocating aura of death. Kim Fu's eyes widened in shock. Why does this scene feel so familiar? It turned out that Trang Ngok had summoned Karl. Only the Prince of Hell could raise the undead. "Who are you really?" Trang Ngok slowly removed his mask. "Is it only now that you recognize me?" Kim Fu's jaw dropped. "Monster William, it's time for you to settle the debt." Kim Fu's expression instantly froze as he realized that Trang Ngok was truly alive. Moments later, Trang Ngok began recounting the events of the past decade. This meant he was indeed. He then mentioned the resurrection of Baal's secretary, and Karl beside him couldn't help but doubt the unbelievable tale. This kid has spun quite a story around him, yet Kim Fu still couldn't bring himself to believe that this was the real Trang Ngok. "Now, you have to tell me, what is your true purpose?" "Nothing particularly special, really. I just want you to sign a sponsorship contract with me." "Your request sounds as if this merchant guild belongs to you. Why is that not the case? Not long ago, you were just a wandering merchant, and who was it that repeatedly brought back trophies from the heights of the tower? That was me, Trang Ngok. Therefore, I can also be considered the largest shareholder of this guild." Kim Fu's expression hardened. He truly resembled the mischievous Trang Ngok. "Even if you really are Trang Ngok, there's a price to pay. So, what can I expect to gain from this contract? You will receive all the information I possess along with my deductions." Sounds fair enough, but we need to assess its actual value first. Wine could shake the very foundations of the God Tower. They see themselves as noble and are not easily subdued by others. That man was once among the 9 stars, his strength surpassing all 8 others. With sheer tenacity, he became the first to conquer the 600-story God Tower. Yet, for reasons unknown, he was brutally slain by the other 8, who were backed by even more formidable forces. Only 4 powers within the God Tower had the authority to command the others. These were the 4 legendary royal families, Trang Ngok explained. The four royal families must safeguard the supremacy of their lineage. If another race surpasses them within the tower, they would feel their superiority threatened. Therefore, they must inevitably deal with the threats to their race and power. The task of handling the outliers falls upon the high-ranking leader, Kim Fu, who skeptically remarks that this is merely your own conjecture. But there's no evidence. Trengok smiled knowingly. Are you aware of the monster village on the 100th floor? They, like me, were exterminated, and I am the last surviving acquaintance of the monster clan. Don't you find that peculiar? A monster clan allowed a child to carry a sword and survive. At that moment, Kim Fu realized that the tales of the massacre of the monster clan were indeed centered around that very child and the blood-stained sword. To eliminate this little monster, they had captured the entire monster clan, and this surviving monster, much like me, would pose a threat to the powers of the four noble clans in the future. My goal is to eradicate the 9 stars. If there truly are 4 noble clans behind me, I will personally eradicate them. I will avenge the death of my parents at the hands of the 4 clans. It turns out that Kim Fu, as a child, lost his parents and clan members to these 4 noble clans. So, do you now find this information valuable enough to sign a contract with me? Trengok, your cleverness is truly commendable, he chuckled. But Kim Fu's eyes suddenly widened. However, you must prove your identity as Trengok immediately. With a deep sigh, Trengok replied, After all this, do you still need me to prove it? Indeed, seeing is believing. Therefore, you must provide proof. Reluctantly, Trengok decided to summon Bal to validate his identity. Yet Bal proclaimed, First, we need to shake hands. Moreover, proving such an important identity requires at least 3 acknowledgements. Is 3 sufficient? Bal declared, in the name of Von Acting, this person is Trengok, the descendant of the sorcerer. Kim Fu laughed. It's a delight to see you again, my eccentric friend. I'm equally thrilled to see you again, Kim Fu. Surely, one day, we shall reveal our true identities to one another. For now, I wish to convey my first request to you, my benefactor Kim Fu. You require all types of weapons available in the tower, as many as you can gather. With a skeptical expression, Kim Fu inquired, What on earth do you need so many weapons for, Goran? Are you planning to demolish the 10th floor? Trengok and Daiming exchanged sly grins. Have you heard of the all-powerful master? Kim Fu looked at Trengok in utter disbelief. So the all-powerful master is actually a profession. Literally, it means I am proficient in all kinds of weapons. Even if it's my first time wielding a weapon, I will master it effortlessly. This revelation left Kim Fu feeling uneasy. If that were true, Trengok would be vastly stronger than before. Though he might seem a bit weak now, in 10 days he would surely stand atop the Divine Tower. Therefore, what Trengok needed to do now was to maximize his potential. Next, he arranged for Pa Fi to purchase all the weapons on the 10th floor of the Divine Tower. He would acquire them piece by piece under the guise of various trade associations. The scene shifted to show Duto testing his limits in a solo attempt on the 10th floor. Unfortunately, his limited strength repeatedly sent him tumbling back to the 9th floor. To reunite with his brother, Ro, he vowed to become stronger. At that moment, the spirit of the Emerald Eye Sword suddenly appeared. Why not harness my power directly, Kyu? You could obliterate that half-beast boss in an instant. Without hesitation, he responded, When we parted, I promised everyone that I would strive to become stronger on my own. The scene transitioned to Parfi, who was pulling out a set of garments. She explained that everything necessary was contained within this outfit. Cheng gazed at Kim Fu in astonishment. What's going on? Kim Fu smirked and clarified, This is called dimensional space. This outfit has a lining connected to a dimensional space. If it's just for storage, its capacity can rival that of a large warehouse. Moreover, it can alter temperature, color, and size according to the wearer's preferences. Such attire is exceedingly rare within the Divine Tower. You should be cautious when using it, especially since you'll be footing the bill for all future expenses. At this moment, Sin Thai, accompanied by 2 of his henchmen, finally set foot on the 10th floor of the Celestial Tower. This was the domain of the White Light Guild, and that so-called Phantom Face dared to threaten me. If I encounter him here again, I will make him wish he had never been born. However, as the 3 of them arrived at the guild's entrance, their eyes widened in disbelief. The White Light Guild building lay in ruins, reduced to a smoldering wreck. The others in the guild had retreated to the 30th floor. While they were discussing their future plans, suddenly, a small white fox appeared from an alleyway. The little fox trotted over with a cheerful expression, its tail wagging excitedly. In a fit of rage, Synthai couldn't help but kick the fox away. How dare this little creature approach me when I am clearly in a foul mood? At that moment, Synthai felt as if his leg had been crushed by a massive boulder, the pain so intense that cold sweat broke out, and he shouted in agony, "Who dares to attack me from behind?" Just then, a shadow emerged from the dark alley. "Enough, I am the fox you just kicked, and I am your future master." With that, Chicheng was preparing to head to the transmutation tower to gather energy. Carl questioned him, "Aren't you already the king of the dead squad?" Chicheng explained, "My profession is drawn from memories of my past life, so currently I possess no energy gained from training." Upon hearing this, Carl immediately understood. At that moment, the nine-tailed fox nearby seemed to be signaling for help. It sensed that its offspring was in danger, triggering a rescue mission. This was a golden opportunity that could not be missed. At that moment, Synthai gritted his teeth and glared at him. "You again, phantom face." Chicheng merely shot him a cold glance. "You seem somewhat familiar." Synthai instantly flew into a rage. "Are you provoking me, brothers? Move in." The weapons of the two henchmen were now aimed at Chicheng's head, but in the next instant, one man and a bottle of liquor vanished without a trace. "Do you know what this little one is capable of? It could turn your lives upside down." Yet at this moment, Synthai was deaf to all reason, consumed by thoughts of revenge against Chicheng. He then questioned the nine-tailed fox about the fate of the others. Dao Viho wanted to kill them immediately. Suddenly, Synthai, heedless of danger, ordered his henchmen to charge. Chicheng merely threw him a cold glance. "Seeking death, are you deathly?" All that could be heard were two swift sounds. Synthai's legs unexpectedly turned against him as he was struck by his own attack. But as regret washed over him, it was already too late. With a deafening explosion, the three behind Chicheng were obliterated, their bodies and debris scattered everywhere. The incident was over. Looking at the little fox in his hands, Chicheng pondered what to name it. "That's right, I'll call you Foxtail." Carl stroked his beard, showing his satisfaction. Meanwhile, the nine-tailed fox nodded repeatedly. The system announced that it had successfully rescued the son of the nine-tailed fox, Foxtail. Moments later, Foxtail felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. Beside the speeding vehicle, Zhang's jaw dropped in astonishment. Before him lay a fox-shaped mask, an artifact of power. Whoever wore it would gain the strength of the fox itself. The greater the prowess of the wearer, the more formidable the mask's power would become. It resembled a monster mask, yet Zhang speculated that the allure of this fox mask was its enchanting charm. When it came to ranged attacks, nothing could surpass this. At that moment, the system announced providing Fox Spirit 1999 Fresh Vitality to enhance Intimacy 999 Vitality. It seemed Zhang had no choice but to take matters into his own hands. If the intimacy increased, unexpected benefits might arise. "I can't wait for the nine-tailed fox." Just then, Carl mentioned he would step out for a bit, urging Zhang to inform him if anything came up. Zhang reminded him to head to the Ascension Tower at dawn. If he couldn't make it back in time, he should go directly there. Once outside, Carl realized the Divine Tower was now utterly transformed compared to before. Suddenly, a familiar buzzing filled his ears. This sensation felt hauntingly familiar. Could it be? Instinctively, he turned towards the source of the signal and gazed intently.